Hello, welcome to Unfiltered with Mariat. I am here to have real conversations that inspire, challenge, and connect us. Together, we will dive into stories that matter, build authentic connections, and uncover strategies to grow capital, whether it's financial, social, or personal. No filters, no holding back. Just impactful discussion with incredible change makers and visionaries. Let's grow together. Join me. Unfiltered with Mariat. So, who do we have here with us today at Unfiltered with Mariat? Jackie Dickinson, all the way from Whistler. Such a pleasure to have you, Jackie. I really want you to do justice to your name and your title because I think you do incredible work, not just in Whistler, and that impact actually shines through across even Metro Vancouver. I think I'm a living testament to that. So let me allow you to do justice to your name. Who is Jackie?
My name is Jackie Dickinson. I am the executive director of Whistler Community Services, which is a local nonprofit in the Whistler community on the unceded territory of the Squamish Nation and Lillooet Nation. And I'm also proud to be a mom of two boys, my son Michael, who's 11, my son William, who's 4, soon to be 5. And I'm grateful to be the partner of my husband, Jason. And I think names and titles can somewhat explain who we are. Yet I feel really grateful to spend time with you today to unpack all those kinds of conversations because there's so much more. There's so much more.
It's completely unfiltered. So here we have organic conversation, So thank you for that. Thank you for that intro. I met you at a conference in Whistler and you blew the whole audience with just one single statement towards the end of your speech. And you came as one of the keynote speakers and you said, everybody is someone's
son.
And everyone belongs to
somebody.
Wow.
Yeah. And that everyone is part of a family.
Can you expand what when you said that? I mean, you said that like in a complete sentence. It was really powerful. It made a huge impact because we felt it. But can you elaborate more? Maybe
Sure.
someone who's listening and really want to understand the message you want to pass across when it comes to that.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to work in social services and mental health for the last 15 years. And I think I was really presented an incredible opportunity very early on. And when I say early on, I mean like day 2 of working for Whistler Community Services by a volunteer who worked at our local food bank. And she told me those words. And so to put it into, context and explain, back then we used to operate our food bank out of this kind of broken down trailer. We didn't have any running water or a toilet.
Wow.
And at that time in 2009,
Wow.
it's not like it was like 30 years ago. We're talking 15 years ago. We were probably seeing maybe 30 people a month, and we were only open one day a month. And then one day it felt like something unexpected happened. Wow. And it was the impact of the post-Olympic environment in Whistler. So I think Whistler had been kind of in this bit of a bubble gearing up for the Olympics. And so the resort municipality really didn't feel the impacts of the recession that was happening at the time. And there was a lot that was happening in the world, but the Olympics and what was driving the economy there kind of kept things very busy. But then it came to an end, and it came to a clear definition of an ending. It's not the part around the Olympics that we always talk about, but there's a defining moment where things go. The torches literally passed, right? Like it goes somewhere else. And with that, our economy and a lot of jobs went with it. And so a 30-person food bank line with a broken down trailer that was open once a month, it felt like overnight. We arrived to that trailer one day and there was 150 people standing in line. And I kind of looked around because I was only in the first couple of days of working for this agency, and I looked to other people to figure out what to do. And at that time, our food bank was really staffed by, and still is, vibrant volunteers. And many of these were women who'd lived in community a really long time. And I watched this really wonderful volunteer sit at the entranceway of this kind of broken down trailer. And she showed so much compassion and kindness, as did all the other volunteers. But there was something that really captured me about her way of each moment, each time greeting people with almost like a bit of a reset button.
Yeah.
She said it with such intention and purpose. every person that walked into that trailer might not have known that she said it 100 times before, because it felt very specific for them. They felt welcome. And after the shift was over, we had run out of food. People were quite exhausted. I walked up to this volunteer and I said to her, like, what is the secret to helping people that way? And what I was most surprised by was she didn't hesitate in explaining it. She just said, Jackie, you need to remember that every person you meet, they belong to somebody and that they are part of a family.
Woo.
And I felt in that moment that this person was presenting, it was probably now when I look back on it, one of the most powerful things I've ever learned doing human-centric work and helping others. And, I've done a lot of trainings and certifications, but the words of that volunteer are probably the most powerful thing. And so when I continue to work in places and spaces and we grow and we change and we deal with difficult things like a pandemic or a lack of affordability, I try each time to think about the fact that each person I meet belongs to somebody.
Oh, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting down here and I'm having goosebumps because it brings me back. It's nostalgic for me. In a way, like I've had my own fair share of life. Someone who has been right up there and then thrown back to the ground, where I had to take myself to. And there was other economical needs because I didn't have money. I had money once upon a time, then I didn't have money. And that just shows life happens. Things could change.
That's right.
Things could happen. In my case, my situation was that I got sick. I got hit by cancer twice and, paralyzed for 2 years, didn't have no job, didn't have no money. And my lifeline, apart from friends and family, they could only do so much, was to actually walk myself to the food bank. So when I visited Whistler, I go to food banks, and when I stand there and I see people in line, like it's really hard. And that was where, when you made that statement in the room at the conference, I just felt, whoa, that was powerful. And I quickly looked you up with my phone. I quickly looked and said, who is this woman? And then I was like, wow, this was why I felt it. And I didn't even know you were the executive director for Whistler Community Services, I must confess. And then I started looking at your services, what you do. And I really felt like this was why I got hit. I got that feeling, that in a spiritual way. And I really felt connected. And then at the door, you met me.
Yes.
And you said, wow, that was, because I gave my own 5 minutes talk.
Yes.
And on stage at the conference, and you came up to me and I said, I still have more to talk about.
That was really powerful for me. And the same, like it was one of those conferences where we started to see people and everybody had an opportunity to listen, learn, present, all of us. And it was I don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn or a lot of these communications tools. So my LinkedIn, that's pretty inactive, just started to like flicker, right? It started to make sounds, but you could hear it across the room because people were instantly interested in what the stories were at this conference for W North that was held in Whistler in May of this past year. And also we were all wanted to know more about people. Like the time that was presented didn't feel like enough. And the connections were so genuine. And same, after you got off the stage, I remember just like walking towards you and you came towards me. And that statement was very powerful to me. It really stayed with me for a long time. Jackie, I have so much more to share. I have so much more to share.
You are one of the incredible leaders that I respect so much because you came into my life like a lightning. Like you have no idea, and then you invited me to come to you to come present at your organization, which I thought was huge.
Thank you.
And thank you for believing in me. And it just shows the power of storytelling. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think there is such a tremendous power in storytelling. And I think that probably what unites and connects most of us is that each of our stories are unique. But the more we share, the more we recognize that we have something to learn, but that there's some similarity there. That we can connect on things.
Yeah.
And we can also challenge each other. Sure. I think you build trust through storytelling because there's a level of vulnerability there.
I like that word, vulnerability. That was very difficult for me when I was penning. When I penned my memoir, In the Whispers of Hope, I remember when I finished, I was like, I don't want to publish this anymore.
Because goodness.
I felt so naked. I felt like, oh my God, there's my whole life in a book. And then I thought, and I paused for a moment, and I was like, this is not about you, Mariat. Why healing is not a linear path, but I was in a good space. I was better, not bitter. So I wanted to help a lot more people. So showing my vulnerability wasn't a weakness for me.
Absolutely not.
It was complete strength.
Yeah.
And I've been like, it's been a driving force for me. And I think it took a lot of weight more. And I felt like I was in this stable state or state of mind where I had a, amazing mindset shift and I was thinking more positively and all I want to do. But that's big, powerful storytelling in my memoir actually raised me in a way like I just felt so double confident more than I was.
Yeah.
So I believe like I'm just saying this and in terms of what your thoughts are in encouraging a lot more people. Put your story in a book, go out there and talk. It's really good for your brand. Go to public speaking, talk about your
Good for
life.
yourself.
It's
Good
good for
for
your
everything.
everything.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we talk about asking for help and seeking out help, and then we constantly talk about stigma, but we don't actually break down what contributes to stigma. And you just talked about like feeling that sense of strength and feeling that sense of feeling weak. There's often a built-in assumption when we offer help or we seek it that it's coming from a place of weakness. And that's what contributes to the stigma.
And I think also because what do you think about this aspect of us feeling ashamed of our story, even when it was not even self-inflicted on us?
Yeah.
But we're just ashamed to talk about it. And I think all of us start feeling this way.
Yes.
Contributes to the stigma already.
Yeah.
Because we feel, this is not what it should, this is not how it should look like. We should look perfect in the eyes of everybody. And I wonder, what is perfect?
Yeah, well, especially now, I think we've created with social media, we've created the ability to build villages, which people need through connection. But there's also a false sense of reality of what that could and should look like. And it lacks vulnerability. I think social media has moved in a direction where we're really striving for perfection or curated chaos in a way that isn't very real. And so it lacks us being ourselves, which actually strays, I think, from its true intention. But also, I mean, let's be honest, it is very difficult to access higher levels of care. There's a lot of systems that really hinder and not help people. And what is built into those systems, and I don't even think when people are part of systems, they fundamentally realize it, is that you have to almost earn that help. Like your story must reach such a magnitude. Right? And so then when I've met people, when I've been like, wow, why did we wait until, or how did we get to this point to ask for help? They were like, well, I always felt that there was someone that needed it more. That's another part of stigma that we don't often talk about, is that people often think someone needs it more.
And the other.
And it is an inward and, a breakdown of our current systems of how we help people. And in a Canadian healthcare system, we pride ourselves on universal healthcare. There's benefits and there's definitely a lot of drawbacks to that it kind of prioritizes and causes people to wait to a point where it's challenging, right?
I could tell you a lot of story on that on a personal level, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Because I'm a mother to a neurodiverse child.
Yeah.
And I know the struggle we got to be even to get the help that we have now, which is not even finalized, but it's just been such a struggle. And it's, like you said, it's just about which story or which unique, I don't want to use the word like what unique mental health, but what unique, influence or struggles someone has that is more important than the other.
That's right.
And I think everyone has a unique way in terms of how they respond to mental health.
That's correct.
And that means there should be a unique way that will respond to the support.
And the challenge with our current systems is we tend to screen people out. We don't tend to screen them in. So when we use a bunch of assessment tools, that's the main intention to creating those assessments, is to bring people into services. What we often feel is that our stories are unique, which is true. We need help that's unique, but the system itself isn't supporting that. And so what comes from storytelling, to kind of go back to what we talked about, is that storytelling is key to not only just relieve what's happening within our own lives, but to make sure that the help we do receive is not cookie cutter, is unique and specific to us. And we're lacking that authenticity. We're lacking that authenticity in our friendships, our family systems, and then the bigger systems that are meant to help us.
Wow, that's powerful. Talking about friendship. Thank you for the friendship, Jackie.
I know. Well, this is also what I think is so powerful, because I still remember that day in May, seeing you and like going across this really large ballroom. And yeah, I feel like it was meant to happen. And as I've confessed to you, I was super nervous about going there, because once again, we're always worried, are we going to feel safe? Are we going to feel welcome? I certainly did. The conference was beautiful and well organized. And essentially it was the people that really brought that to life.
You were honored and respected, like literally. And this is what it's about. And that's what we're encouraging people to speak, right? Mm-hmm. And like you said, you didn't know how it felt, but you came on stage and you killed it. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Right? And you said the right thing, and not just what people want to hear, but you uplifted the room in so many ways that was so impactful. And I'm here, one of those. So keep doing what you're doing, Jackie, because we're so incredibly proud of you. And the work you're doing with Sly, just like your team, I met them, just so incredibly proud of everyone. Yeah, kudos to them. And the work they do, like every day I just want to go to my Instagram and we'll see what's been posted of Whistler Community Services.
Thank
and
you.
It's just so incredible the work you do. So thank you for shining the light, across our community. But also as a mom, and with this incredible job you're doing, how do you juggle all of this lifestyle? So tell us, because I'm sure someone out there is listening, and because you have two beautiful kids, and you run a organization, you have your husband, and you're doing incredible work in Whistler. Your board director here, your board here, your presence in meetings, and you're sharing your voice, and you're going speaking. How do you do this?
I tried. I've kind of taken some inspiration from you. I'm trying to surround myself.
Jackie, my kids are all grown up.
But that's inspiring, right? I'm trying to surround myself with people, as you always say, like create this bubble of people who are going to support you and lift you up.
100%.
And it's not always easy, and it's sometimes a little bit messy and raw. Like, let's just say, I really appreciate you having me today, and I totally forgot it was a PD day. So I have my kids here, and they're in the back, and you welcomed them with like such open arms and kindness. So when life doesn't always go the way you planned, you want to ensure that you're supported by people who lift you up and say, hey, let's work that out. Okay, let's figure this out.
Anywhere you want to work.
Exactly. And I think we need more of that. And also, I do really want to recognize my husband, Jason. He left his, job and career after we had our second son, stayed home with him. So I did the first 6 months of maternity leave with our second son, and he did the remaining part of the maternity leave. He did almost 14 months.
That is amazing.
During
and
a pandemic.
More of that.
Want more of that. Want more of that. And so I went back earlier than I think most women do. Mm-hmm. And he was home, and then we were unable to find childcare. So we had to figure out what we were going to do. So I still work days, and he left his position and started working evenings. So he works overnight shifts for a local nonprofit so that we could balance the care of our children day and night.
Wow.
I know. So I think that's a piece, right? Like
that's really powerful. And that comes to a lot of, I think it's a message we need to put across, honestly. That piece of partnership, what it looks like, mm-hmm. and what it feels like. And that piece of support, mm-hmm. This is someone that loves you and incredible wants you to do really well with your career and go ahead and do what you're doing. I'm the father, and it doesn't have to be traditional.
That's
that correct. You have to be home for a year and do everything. I want to spend time with those kids, and I want to take care of them so that you can go do other things too.
Yeah.
And we can balance things out. So let's talk more about that. I know I'm more in my empty nestering stage right now. If not fully, I don't have young kids.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of women out there probably listening. And I mean, mm-hmm. I hope I'm not causing any, and this is why it's Unfiltered with Mariat, mm-hmm. we say the things as it is. Like, to the men out there who can do that support, who can be that, support network more to their partner. Not just men, right? Like in the individuals, like partners, and how they can support each other. So
yeah, I think it is about supporting each other. I think it's about admitting when you've made mistakes and embracing a bit of the chaos and challenge that comes with it. I heard a great statement this week that says, when you trust people, you can be honest with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's rooted in trust, right? Because that's where the honesty starts.
Yes.
And I'm also just a really big fan of meeting people who are just willing to be your biggest fan. That's like a big thing, and I feel that in my partnership.
Your
I feel
partner
that
is your
biz fan.
biggest fan for
Yeah,
sure.
and I was really fortunate to have a father in my life that was only present for about 24 years. He died of pancreatic cancer, but when we were kids, he used to say to us and whisper us and hold on to us with really like strong hugs, so strong that he would need us to be the first to let go. Like he wouldn't let go, which I understand now as a parent more. I didn't understand as a kid, but he would always
Tell us
say
about
to
that.
us,
I'm sorry to pause you.
yeah.
Tell us about you understand that more as an adult. Or what does that mean?
Well, because I would always feel really anxious, like not anxious, but I'd be like, Dad, like let go of this hug. Like this is a long hug. And I don't know if my dad knew that he had such a short time to be a father to us, right? He hasn't lived to see his grandchildren. And I often think that he held on to those hugs in some way, knowing that he needed to hold on to them. And now as a parent, I totally get it because I don't want to let go of my kids. You know, my oldest son is about to turn 12, and the data says that 75% of the time you spend with your kid will happen before the age of 12.
Whoa.
So that hug for me now feels like I can feel it. Like I want to hold on to it. And when he would hug us, he would say, I'm always here for you. I'll always be your best friend. And I will always be your biggest fan. And I've really tried to search out in my life after his passing people that I hope I could be their biggest fan and they could be mine. And I think maybe that's what drew us together. I could feel that.
I feel there's a lot of energy that drew us together for sure. I'm just hearing this about your dad I never knew, and considering my own history too, medically. But then I'm start feeling, did Jason just come in there to fill a big shoe or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you ever look at him like, this is my dad, even if it's your partner?
Yeah, I was really fortunate because I met him when I was 19 and my dad passed when I was 24. So he got to know my dad, and he's often said to our kids that, you know, part of who he has become has been from being at the dinner table and seeing my dad as a dad, and I think I see that. And then I also like I do seek it out in other people.
Now
I
you're
really
giving
do.
me another thoughts now. Another thoughts from, I know you don't have a girl, but people have said like, there's no, I don't want to talk about gender because
Yeah.
I mean gender is just universal for me right now. So
Absolutely.
but in terms of like a reflection of the parent
Yes.
in the home,
Mhm.
oftentimes it's picked on. Is it true that if you have a straight female, they normally look up to the reflection of the male in terms of who they likely want to pick for a partner? Oh, does this make sense?
Yes,
what
it
I'm
does.
saying?
I think that, I think
This is
there's
so unfiltered.
yeah, there is, I think, a saying that says that every young girl, when, their dad is truly often their first love, and they
Yeah.
are seeking out that after and seeking out that. I have to say as well, I come from an amazing family of incredibly powerful women too. And I've watched my mom navigate her life now without my dad with such courage and kindness and bravery that through it, it's just been like very inspiring. They were married and for, almost 30 years. And he is the love of her
My dad
life.
died early too.
Yeah.
That was a sad one because it was right in front of me. Yeah. But then I look at my mom and I was like, since my dad passed away, my mom never, I don't think she ever dated anybody. Anyone can come along that journey.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that.
And create this community. I mean, I think the pandemic really shed light on how much we thrive and crave human connection. And I think about the times, like I remember entering our office building at Whistler Community Services. We had a very temporary shutdown because we are a frontline essential service. So keeping our doors closed just wasn't a long-term option. So it was like 6 to 8 weeks. And I remember entering the building and it just feeling so empty and thinking we have a responsibility to fill this space again. And the very first time we had our staff in there and I heard someone laugh, I felt so much joy again to feel these spaces and places full again. And I do think there was so much grief, loss, and trauma that we experienced, yet there was a real opportunity to value human connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is what we talk about here on Unfiltered with Mary. We talk about connections.
Yeah.
Conversations. and growing capital. This is the essence of the human existence. This is a life, this is a journey. We just have to go enjoy it, connect with one another. Of course, it's great. You have to build your boundaries too.
Yes,
Your
you do.
energy is important, but it's just all about spreading love, joy, and kindness. And this is the reason I call myself Chief Happiness Officer for
Yeah.
MIJ Consulting, because my first most important task is to make sure that I'm able to spread not just love and joy to everyone, but to myself first. Because when it
Exactly.
comes from my really true existence, my core, I can spread it so easily to you. And I really want people to have that. So let's round this up by talking about love and spreading joy.
Yes.
And you do that so well,
Oh,
Jackie.
thank you.
And I want to thank you.
That's a big compliment coming from you.
No, you drove all the way from Whistler to come record a podcast with me. You brought your two amazing, lovely boys to come, and I met them, and the energy and the love I got from them instantly, that actually boosted my confidence in just kids, right? So,
Yeah.
Jackie
Yes.
Dickinson,
Yes.
thank you for joining us. You're just an incredible human, and
Thank
I
you.
wish you all the best. And if there's any message you want to leave for the audience before you go, we're more than happy.
I think the piece that I hope people take away from it is that let kindness be the most contagious thing in our communities now. Let that be the most contagious thing that we can spread. I think that we need that.
We need
it more than ever. And the one thing that I continue to think about you that I love about you so much is when I met you, it was like I knew you. Like right away, it was like I met you once, I knew you. And we all need that in people. Like once you meet people, value those connections and keep that going, right? Don't pretend that you need another connection or another opportunity. You might not get it. Don't think that, there's another opportunity. Think about that one moment in that connection, and now you know each other. And what are you going to take from that relationship? What are you going to offer to others? Like I think about that connection we made, and now everything that's come from it. I mean, more of that is powerful and necessary.
Thank you so much, Jackie. You're an incredible human. That's a wrap for this episode of Unfiltered with Mariat, where we dive deep, challenge the norms, keep it real. And if today's conversation resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your network and leave a review and subscribe. Let's keep the dialogue going. Connect with me on Instagram at I am Mariat Ali. And if you have a story or topic you'd love to hear, slide into my DM or visit mariatjibril.com. Until next time, stay bold, stay unfiltered.